mind you about to compete for an hour straight. No excuses, man. Yo, let's get after it. Grind out 3, 1, 2, 3. Right.
So much more than us, man.
Everything we got, no matter what. It's about that time now. Time to lead on the line. Every 5, 1, 2, 3.
Blocked at the line by Stanford and the Cardinals. Tejoco with the catch and more, and all of it. Kelly pulls it in. Parkinson, one-handed reel in Todd. Montes keeps it, it's intercepted. J.J. Parson with the first interception of his career. Taking a shot, underthrown and intercepted.
Hello, Stanford Medicine alumni. I'm Arturo Molina from the MD class of 1983 and former internal medicine house staff and medical oncology fellow at Stanford Med. It is a great pleasure to welcome the alumni and students to SMAA's first virtual tailgate. Go Stanford! We're excited by today's program that brings you many of the elements of our annual tailgate, along with some fun and unique videos and games that can only happen virtually, plus our exclusive interview with Coach Shaw. All your microphones have been muted to avoid unwanted background noise, as we are sure you and your families are in game day form. We will attempt to answer any online questions throughout the next hour. Be sure to be ready to log into our trivia competition coming up soon, where you can win Stanford prizes. Watch for on-screen directions. Before we begin the festivities, we would like to acknowledge these unusual times. We have all been affected by this pandemic and send our heartfelt support to first responders, small business owners, students, and especially those who may have direct experience with the virus for themselves or their family members. Stanford Medicine is at the forefront of understanding the epidemiology of COVID-19 and developing therapeutics, vaccines, and treatments with a renowned network of scientists, clinicians, global health experts, and policymakers. With their dedication and support, we will defeat COVID-19. In the meantime, please wear your masks, wash your hands, and continue to social distance. The other virus we're battling is one of social justice. The events of the past few months have shaken the very values of this country and shown that we have much work to do both in medicine and our own lives to address inequalities and injustice. Stanford School of Medicine is committed to working on these issues. Social justice issues resonate among our Stanford students and athletes. Here's a brief message of unity from members of our Stanford football team in response to the events of the past few months.
The unjustifiable death of George Floyd highlight the racial injustices that are still present in America today.
I think the last few days have served as an ugly reminder of the state of racism in America.
As a black man in America, I have been acutely aware of the injustice and systemic racism that has plagued this country and continues to plague this country my entire life.
I am angry, frustrated, and my heart aches. Being a black man living in America, this could have easily happened to me.
I'm tired, emotionally drained. I'm just tired of having to constantly decriminalize myself every time I leave the house to let everybody else know that I am not a threat.
All lives do not matter if my life does not matter.
A country that says it's by the people and for the people, I'm not sure it's for my people.
This system was never made for African Americans.
I know that what happened to George Floyd could have easily happened to me, and unfortunately it has happened to countless black men and women.
Silence will not stop the violence, and I urge those with the same platform as me and many others to use their voice and speak out and proclaim that enough is enough.
In order for America to change, we must attack the hearts and soul of each American to create sympathy, empathy, and compassion towards all demographics of people.
And I understand that I myself will never know what it's like to be a person of color in this country. I also understand that now is as an important time as ever to back the movements that are working to bring about justice for George Floyd.
The best thing that we can do as a people is vote.
Emphasize voting, and voting not only on a national level, but local level as well.
We can't become discouraged when change doesn't happen immediately, because it never happens immediately. It's going to take an overwhelming effort from the people within my generation and the people in the generation that came before us to make this a top priority and to not stop until racial prejudice is eradicated from our country.
God made everyone in his image, and God is love, and we should be love.
Put yourself in uncomfortable situations and have these difficult conversations. And, you know, there's a lot that we can do to help fix a lot of what's broken in our system right now.
We need to eliminate prejudiced viewpoints. We need to eliminate closed mindsets, and we need to open up and be able to talk and be able to converse and be able to learn from other people, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of where they're from, regardless of what they're interested in. Put your pride, put your viewpoints aside and just listen.
The disparity in our country is perpetuated by ignorance and silence. To dissemble these systems, we must first ensure that they are fully acknowledged. We must be courageous enough to have difficult conversations and compassionate enough to listen.
We can't stay silent anymore and no longer tolerate ignorance. I demand change.
And for one day that all African Americans will have someone to call on for help when they need it. Then we'll finally see a change.
Real, concrete change is far past overdue in this country, so we must vote for it, protest for it, and donate for it. Exercise your rights so that one day others can exercise and enjoy all of theirs. Black Lives Matter today and every day.
Thank you to the Stanford team members for sharing their feelings in that video. Salbona, I see you, you're important to me, and I value you. Now I would like to start the festivities with a chance for you all to play some Stanford trivia. Please follow the instructions to compete in a contest of speed and Stanford fun. The top 5 competitors will receive a Stanford prize sent to their home. We're excited to welcome a genuine Stanford fan and enthusiast as our host for our virtual Stanford trivia game. Bob Siegel received his bachelor and master's degrees from Stanford University and is an alumnus of Stanford School of Medicine, class of 1990. He is currently a Stanford professor of microbiology and immunology. He also received a PhD degree from today's football rival, the University of Colorado. Boo! Most important is that Bob is part of a 45-year tradition with Stanford football. He's a former Stanford Tree. Take it away, Bob.
Thank you, Arturo, for that very gracious introduction, I think. And also thank you to the Stanford undergraduates who are members of the football team for their important messages. It's a wonderful honor to be here today, virtually. I think there might be something oxymoronic about a virtual homecoming, but here we go. We're going to now play a game, maybe a bit of a distraction from some of the important events of the day. Okay. So I'm going to read to you some of the instructions which are on your sheet. We're going to go through these. Some of these are important if you want to play the game and also to get one of the prizes at the end for your knowledge about Stanford football and Stanford sports. So instruction number 1, on your mobile device or in a separate browser, please enter the following site, polev.com/tailgate. And it's very important that you add the /tailgate part. Otherwise, you might end up in somebody else's trivia bowl game. And you might get a prize, but it won't be from the Stanford Medical School Alumni Association. Okay, so you need to enter that. If you can either type it in or it's also in the chat. You can cut and paste it. Now enter your first and last name into the screen name field. And you have to do that as well if you want to get the prize. You will answer a series of 6 questions within 15 seconds on the clock, 15 seconds per question, and you'll be judged on both speed and accuracy. So get your game finger ready. Scores will be cumulative over all 6 questions with rankings you'll see updated on the screen after each question. The top 5 winners with full name will get fun prizes. So do your best, good luck, and go Cardinal. Okay, so that's how to play, and make sure you've entered the website on a separate thing. Remember not to put the answers in the chat on the Zoom because that won't be counted. Okay. And here we go with Stanford Medical School Alumni Association Tailgate Trivia. I must say that I was also in the Stanford band as an undergraduate, and we had one of my favorite memories is our away game, our travel to the University of Colorado. Okay, so there we go. Question number 1. The big game, also known as the Battle of the Bay, is the annual football game between Stanford and which other school? And here are your choices. Okay. Well, we're all locked in a deep tie at this point. 100% of you got the right answer, and that's Cal. So, so on to the next question. The Stanford tree is the official mascot of what? Okay, and here are your answers. Is it Stanford University? Is it the athletics department? Is it the Leland Stanford Junior University Marching Band, LSJUMB? Or is it the Stanford School of Earth? And the clock is ticking. The results are coming in. Okay, and the correct answer is Leland Stanford Junior University Marching Band, LSJUMB. Okay, let's see how the standings are. Okay, well, it looks like Arturo, I don't know if Arturo's cheating there, but Arturo's on the top, but we got a lot of ties here. Okay, so we're gonna try to check the next one. Question number 3. The Stanford Axe is a trophy awarded to the winner of the big game. At which sport did the Axe make its first appearance? And here are the answers. Is it basketball? Is it soccer? Is it baseball, or is it football? And the answers are coming in. And here we have the music as a tribute to Alex Trebek. Okay, so the correct answer is baseball. So that was a tricky one. We got 13% of the people got that one. Kind of a trick question since they showed some football players there. And now Carolyn, with 2,000 points, is pulling into the lead, followed by Dan Greenwald. Okay, so up to question number 4 as the contestants begin to separate. Before each home game, the Stanford football team, led by the marching band, walks from Arriaga Family Sports Center to the stadium while fans cheer them on. What is the name of this esteemed tradition? And the answers, is it the walk, the Stanford charge, the Cardinal March, or the Wacky Walk? And here you see it, walking along. And as the clock ticks down, the answers are coming in. We got 17 results here. And the answer is the walk. So 40% of you got that. And let's see how the standings are at this point. Carolyn still the leader here, 3,000 points. Okay. And we have Dan, Tom, and Asha knocking at the door, and Timothy as well. So let's see what we have now. Who holds the Stanford record for the most career yards rushing? Okay, and the answers are going to come up. Is it Stefan Taylor? Is it Toby Gerhart? Is it Darren Nelson, or is it Bryce Love? And there's a little bit of a hint here as you answer. So for those of you who are big Stanford football fans, the answer is actually depicted on the screen here. Okay, and the time is up. And 31% of you guessed the right answer, and that's Bryce Love. Okay, and now let's see the results and the leaderboard. And by the way, the scores are based not just on the correct answer, but also on how fast people are answering the question. So now Dan Greenwald has pulled into the lead. So Carolyn and Tom and Asha are close behind. So let's on to the next question. What is the name of the official Stanford Cardinal fight song? And here are the answers. The choices are, is it Come Join the Band? Is it Hail Stanford Hail? Is it All Right Now? Or is it Victorious Cardinal? Okay, and put your answers in, and we have 16 answers. And let's see what the results are. It's Come Join the Band, okay? And I probably would have guessed All Right Now as well. So, and we had All Right Now playing during our videos there. So let's see how the board looks now. And Tom is still leading, but Carolyn is close behind along with Dan. Okay, so beginning to distinguish themselves. Arturo, you're falling way far behind there. Okay, so here we go. And the next question. We're done. Okay, so we have our winners. Thank you to all the participants. Thanks to all who joined us today, and especially thanks to those of you who played. And I hope you all enjoy the game. And now we get the opportunity to hear from Coach Shaw.
Hey everybody, I'm Ashley Adamson from the Pac-12 Network. I am thrilled to be here. Hope you all are enjoying your first ever Stanford football virtual tailgate. And I know a lot of you are excited about this segment that we have coming up. David Shaw, the head football coach, about to join us to answer some questions that all of you submitted from the various places that you're watching from around the country. But before we get to those questions, I want to first run some fun facts, some of my favorite fun facts about Coach Shaw by you. And these you may or may not know. We'll find out. So David Shaw, he is the winningest coach in Stanford football history. He has led the Card to 3 Pac-12 titles and 2 Rose Bowl wins. He's been named Pac-12 Coach of the Year 4 times, which is more than any other coach in the history of the conference. He is the definition of a Stanford man. He played wide receiver here at Stanford, graduated in 1995 with a degree in sociology. He proposed to his wife, Corey, outside of Stanford's Memorial Church, which is also where they got married. He is the son of a coach. His dad, Willie Shaw, coached for 7 different NFL teams in his 33-year coaching career, and that was a career that included 2 stints here at Stanford. My colleagues and I at the Pac-12 Network, we often refer to David Shaw as the conscience of college football. He's one of the most trusted and respected voices in the country. He's the chair of the NCAA Football Rules Committee. He represents the Pac-12 on the AFCA Ethics Committee. He's a member of the NCAA Commission to Combat Campus Sexual Violence, and he is a leading advocate of the Set the Expectation program, which is committed to ending the culture of sexual assault and domestic violence among college and high school athletes. In terms of developing young men, over the last 8 years, that is the most of any Pac-12 team in that span. And the one aspect of his program that stands above the rest is what his players are doing in the classroom. 93.5% average graduation rate over the last 10 years. That is tops in the Pac-12, number 4 in the nation. And maybe my favorite stat, if you put together total wins, total NFL draft picks, and average graduation rate over the last 10 years, no other school in the nation can match all 3 of those. So with that, and I hope I got most of all of that right, we welcome in the head football coach, David Shaw. Is this your first tailgate that you've been to in quite a while?
Maybe the first tailgate since I went to college.
Good.
We used to go to tailgates all the time as a coach's kid, but I just remember running around and grabbing food from place to place. But this will be the first time in a long time.
All right, good. Well, this one's a little bit different, but I'm glad to be tailgating with you, as it were. So some great questions were submitted by Stanford School of Medicine alumni and their kids who are watching from all over. So we'll start with some personal non-football questions. What is your favorite pre- or post-game meal?
Post-game is easy. No matter what kind of a diet I happen to be on, post-game, there's nothing like a post-game burger. There's just nothing like a double-decker post-game burger. I'm not really picky on where it comes from, but there's something about standing up for 5 hours and going through a lot of stress that makes you want to eat a burger and some fries. Pre-game, maybe some pasta, maybe some grilled chicken, but nothing big pre-game.
All right, fair enough. I like that, a burger, big burger. All right, you mentioned, or I mentioned your wife, Corey. The 2 of you have 3 beautiful kids. Obviously, in this time, everyone's getting a lot more time with their families. So what have you enjoyed the most about being at home so much the last 6 months?
For 6 months, we've gone in and out of a lot of different things. For a while, we were just going on family walks, like every evening. Let's just, everybody get out of the house. We've all been on our iPads and phones and computers the entire day. So right after dinner, let's just go for a walk. And then other times we've gone on bike rides. We've found different things to do because the monotony of the last 6 months has been difficult, and we had to find ways to change it up.
All right, so that's been the good part. What's been the hardest part at home?
The hardest part at home is no matter how much you love each other, seeing each other all day, every day can be tough. In particular with our kids who miss their friends, they miss their sports, they missed going to the movies. So we've had to be able to give everybody some space while still appreciating the time that we do have together.
A lot of obviously really difficult but important conversations happening. Everyone here just watched the Black Lives Matter video that your players put together this summer. How, from your perspective, are the issues surrounding all the racial injustice and the reckoning that's going on with that in our country, the Black Lives Matter movement in general, how is that influencing you and your team?
That's a big question because it hits everybody individually very, very differently. And so what I've tried to do is to be a bit of a guider and mentor without telling the guys what to do or telling them what to think, but being open to what they have to say and challenging them to be as informed as possible. If you're going, and my big thing, if you're going to engage, whether it's personally or on social media, engage to make it better. don't engage to make it worse. Don't engage to get on and just argue with people, but engage to make it better. How can you make a situation better? We've had great leaders on the team that have rallied themselves, as long as other people in other sports on campus here, to do this Cardinal Black thing, which is great educational, but also they want to engage with our local area as well as on campus. So there are really positive things going on. I think our administration has been very supportive of. Biggest thing is listening to our student athletes and then helping them find a path towards, first of all, being mentally and emotionally healthy, because this has been really tough, and also now find positive outlets for their emotions that they're feeling.
And so what you say there segues perfectly into this next question, which is someone wants to know how are you and your players holding up in this COVID world that we're living in?
I like to remind our guys that they came to Stanford to lead, not to follow, and not to just respond to what happens to them, but actually have some forethought and say, what are we trying to do? And being very focused. Came to Stanford to play great football and graduate. So that's where the main part of our focus is. And as far as playing football, whatever it takes is our phrase our guys have been saying a lot now is, okay, here are going to be the restrictions. Here's what we can do. Here's what we can't do. Here's where we have to live. Here's where we have to eat. Here's how we have to socialize. But if we have to do that to play this game that we love, this is what we're going to do. So I think we've been able to find a way to be as mentally and emotionally healthy as possible, because we have this ability to play this great game. School doesn't look the same. And I was reminding somebody the other day, all those things that come with this college life that we all remember, our guys don't get to do any of that. And so we have to remind them, hey, what we do get to do, let's not only do it and do it well, let's appreciate it. Let's enjoy it. There's so many things we don't get to do, but let's focus on those things that we can do.
And I want to ask you about that, David, because I've heard you say this word, and I've heard several people on your staff say this word to me over the last few months, and that is, it feels like the guiding sort of mindset is gratitude. And it's easy to focus on all the other stuff that you don't have right now, but I hear you guys say it over and over again, and I just wonder, how does that show up, or how do you focus on that gratitude aspect of what's going on?
It doesn't come natural to most of us, right? Because this is such a different world and so many things that we're not able to do. But I remind our guys, from governor to county to president, provost, athletic director, coaching staff, administration, operations, so many people have worked so hard over 6 months just to make this possible. And for us to not take advantage of that and to not appreciate that, I think would be wrong. So for us to play with that emotion, that gratitude, to say 6 months ago, we didn't know that this was going to happen. 4 months ago, 2 months ago, we weren't sure that we were going to get a chance to play. But now that we are, let's embrace every opportunity. Let's appreciate whatever we get. Let's be able to look back at this time and say, not only did we get a chance to play, we played well, we gave it our best, and we enjoyed every part of it.
And so this kind of goes along with that as well. What are some of the mental and physical challenges for your players as they face this shortened season?
I think the biggest one is social. Football is social. It's social on the team, and we haven't been able to do as many things socially as we would like with each other. Football games bring people together. Bring your family in, and fans and students and people from your dorm, and those things aren't there. Thankfully, this is a very tech-savvy group, and they communicate with each other online anyway, so they're still able to communicate with their friends on the team and on other teams and other places. But there's still nothing like interpersonal connection. So we've got great people on campus and our social side and our sports psychology department that make sure that our people are supported in the best way possible, because there's a huge part of life as a human being that they're missing, and we're trying to make sure that they get as much of that as possible.
And I know a lot of the fans who are watching this from home are wishing they could be here in the stands today for this game. And so the next question is, because there are no fans in the stands, how is the game going to be different for your players, and how do you help motivate them, get that energy when they don't have it necessarily from the crowds?
Well, first of all, it's going to be very different. Our road games, 2 of our road games are at 2 of the loudest stadiums in our conference. So I'm not too sad they're not going to have fans in Eugene and Seattle, Washington. But there's still, even on the road, there's still an energy that the crowd gives you, right? Either they're for you or they're against you. So you're going to miss that. So my challenge to our guys is to focus on each other. If there's nobody in the stands, that shouldn't really matter, because you're fighting for the guy next to you. You don't want to let that guy down. He doesn't want to let you down. So there's still an energy that we can bring. And there's still a passion with this game is going to be played, whether it's in the parking lot or in front of 100,000 people. And our job now is to bring that energy, bring that focus, and still love and appreciate the game we get a chance to play.
As much as you can't be social, does it feel like, in a way, because it's just this program that is so close together and there's nobody from the outside, that you guys are closer in some ways?
Yeah, whether they wanted to or not, we've gotten a lot closer. We do miss the interpersonal stuff that happens on campus with our student athletes being all over campus, living in different places and not being kind of lumped together. We've always enjoyed that part of being part of the university. But the fact that we get a chance to play this game, which we weren't sure we were going to get a chance to play, there's an energy, there's a focus. Our guys have all kinds of sayings right now, which no complaining, whatever it takes, like really pushing each other. We have a shortened season and a small time for us to really be together as a team. So I think they're appreciating every day.
Love it. All right, I like this next question. What is the biggest impact of having a medical community like Stanford as such close collaborators and partners with your program?
So the last few months, I think, have really taught our guys a lot about Stanford. And many of them wouldn't have had a chance to really appreciate it until they leave and look back. But now our guys, especially during all the things that have happened, all the communication they've had with people in other programs, our testing has been phenomenal. Our support has been outstanding. Our consistency and their health first has been point blank right in front of them, and they've been able to see that, especially with Stanford Hospital and our ability to get our rapid testing back quickly, our PCR tests coming back quickly, our staff and doctors and nurses that have been readily available to help us. We've always said that it's been a great advantage for us to have the doctors on campus, and now here it is. Stanford Hospital has really, really changed our outlook and a big part of the reason why we are where we are right now.
All right, so how about recruiting? I think there's been a lot of conversations about how COVID and all this virtual, not being able to have recruits on campus, is affecting things. So what has the impact on recruiting been in this virtual world that COVID has created?
To answer it succinctly, it's been brutal. It's been absolutely brutal. And here we are sitting in the stadium, beautiful November day in Palo Alto. And that's one of our big recruiting advantages, because we ask our prospective recruits to do more than anybody else in America. AP courses, taking standardized tests, filling out an application with 5 essays. Sometimes the motivation comes from walking on campus. Sometimes they're not sure when they come from the Midwest or the Southeast or the Northeast or the Northwest. They're not sure until they walk on campus, and then they go back home and say, okay, whatever it takes for me to get there, that's what I'm going to do. So we've had to, with our recruiting department, find different ways to show Stanford through a screen. So our virtual visits, I think, have been outstanding. We've put so much work into it, so many people on campus, from our professors to our coaches and our student athletes that have donated their time to some of our former student athletes, some guys that are in the NFL, some guys that are not. Just being able to say, here's what my Stanford experience did for me. And we've been able to show that and really, really think make an impact with a lot of recruits. It's still not like walking on campus, but we've been able to make up that ground.
Do you think there are some things that you can take from what you guys have been doing that you'll continue to do even when you're allowed to have recruits back on campus?
Absolutely. It's made us better. It really has made us better. So now, instead of trying to entice people with our voices to come visit Stanford, now we've got some things to say, okay, this doesn't have to be your Stanford visit because you can come visit, but here are some things to entice you. Here's what you'll see when you are on campus. So our pre-visit recruiting has gotten a lot better because now we just have more ammunition.
All right, another great question here. What are the core values you look for when recruiting players and hiring your coaching staff?
I love the way that question is asked because they are the same. They are the same. I'm going to go nerd on you for a second here.
Love it.
The word culture, right? And coaches give speeches all the time, and we're asked to talk, and a lot of it's just talk. But this is, to me, is really important. Culture is one of the most misunderstood things in team sports. I can draw up an edict. I can have all the rules in the world, but the culture will not be what I say. The culture will be the result of the people that I put together. So it's not changing anybody, it's bringing in the right people. So starting with the coaching staff, I'm looking for family people, right? I'm not saying family men anymore because there are a lot of women getting into coaching. I'm looking forward to hiring my first female coach. I'm looking for a family person. I'm looking for teachers. I'm looking for people that have genuine interests in football and out of football. I'm looking for people that get along, because much like any household raising children, the children are going to model our behavior. And if our staff doesn't get along, we're modeling the wrong behavior for our student athletes. So if our student athletes can see us disagree, but at the same time be on the same page and now get back together, that's the behavior we want modeled. So if I can do that with the staff, and now the staff, as long as we know what we're looking for, which is how we were put together, and say, okay, we're looking for student athletes, of course, that are great students and great athletes. We're looking for character, we're looking for interpersonal things, we're looking for someone that we want to add to our beautiful place here in Palo Alto that will make us better on the field, make us better in the locker room. And if we got the right group of guys together, they now are going to be the example that we point to and say, okay, you see this? Yep, Andrew Luck, Christian McCaffrey, Bryce Love, that's what we're looking for. Not just on the field, but off the field. And now, when we do bring recruits in, if our guys are the right guys and our people are trained properly, they will tell us, this guy doesn't fit us. Coach, we know he's a good football player, he doesn't fit us. Or, you got to get this guy here, this guy's one of us. So that's a big part of culture and putting this whole thing together. It's all about bringing the right people together.
You mentioned Bryce Love, and I just want to follow up on that because, you know, I've had a lot of conversations with him, and I know that once his football career is over, he wants to go be a doctor. And I imagine, we've talked about this before, but I'm just wondering if you actually have a number of it, and I think the people watching at home will appreciate this. Do you have any idea how many letters of recommendation you have written for your players to get into med school?
I don't have the exact number. I think it averages out to about 1 a year. So going into year 10, I'm sure it's somewhere around 8, 9, or 10. There have been some years where I haven't written one. There's some years I've written 3. So that might even be on the low end. Trying to put all the pieces together. I know I've had a ton of guys that have done pre-med human biology, but it's got to average about once a year.
All right, and I know they don't like keep stats like that, but I'm going to go ahead and say that that's definitely higher, way higher than average for a typical Division I football
I'd
coach.
say it's pretty far ahead of anybody
okay,
else in America.
That's good. I'm glad we agree on that. Tell us about the biggest influence that your dad has had on you as a coach.
So there's early on, and then there's since then. Early on, like any parent, he challenged me to be myself. And I didn't know how profound that was until I got into this profession. And there are so many strong personalities in football. And the natural tendency is to copy somebody else. And how many Bill Belichicks have you seen? I worked for John Gruden, and there are a ton of John Gruden impersonators out there that try to do it just like John. And so early on, that from both my dad and my mom, to really just continue to find out who I am and to be that and be authentic. First of all, it's helped me guard against following somebody else. And secondly, what's really, really important is when you are yourself, now you can teach. If you're not yourself and you're trying to be somebody else and you're trying to be the image of what a coach you think is supposed to be or what somebody else thinks is supposed to be, the moment you're not authentic, the moment you lose that student athlete's attention because they don't think you're being real, they're gone. Not only can you not coach them, you can't get them back because they feel it, they sense it. You're not authentic. You're not who you're supposed to be. You're not who you really are. So that idea of being authentic and being myself was really, really big early on because I was with so many strong personalities. I coached for Brian Billick and Jim Harbaugh. So me maintaining who I am, I think has helped me tons. And then since then, my dad has just been kind of little whispers in my ear. Not able to come to practice this year, but through the years coming to practice and saying, hey, think about this. You know, hey, I like so-and-so, you know, watch that young kid. I know you recruited him, but watch him, you know, I think he's going to be this. So just that little voice in my ear, which I always appreciate older coaches that have more experiences, more longevity than me. It's nice to have one in my ear periodically.
Do you think any of your 3 kids will be coaches?
I'll have to take my mother's side on this and say I hope not. I think there's so many other great things to do and to be. But what happens with coaching, or how you get into coaching, is that you find out that you can't do anything else, and that's when you found your passion. That's what you found, that you find what you're made for, no matter what it is. So we'll continue to push professions with more sanity, and true ladders that you can actually see before you get there. But if any of them choose to do it because they don't want to do anything else and they're truly passionate about it, then I'll absolutely support them.
Well, I know you could do just about anything you wanted. I'm glad that you felt like this was the only thing that you could do.
Oh, I tried to do a bunch of other things, but football just like Al Pacino, just pulled me back in.
All right, you've been a college coach now since 2006. What would you say are the significant differences in coaching in the NFL versus coaching in college?
Oh, boy. The biggest difference, there are two biggest differences. Two big differences. One big difference is your off season. The NFL offseason is much better than the college offseason. Once the season's over, first of all, you got to find out, do I have a job for next year or not? And if I do, okay, great. Now, I'm not recruiting. I'm now just preparing for the next year, watching a lot of film, et cetera, which is great. But in the college world, there's something to be said for putting your team together. And much like we talked about, the ideal student athletes that you're looking for, that recruiting process, as long and as difficult as it is unbelievably rewarding. When I stand right over there on senior night and these guys are running out for their last game and there are tears streaming down their eyes and my eyes and their mom's eyes in the stands, it puts all that work in the offseason together for me. The other one is, I've said this a bunch of times, so I'm going on year 14 total at Stanford, and I did 9 years in the NFL, and the number of guys that I keep in contact from my NFL days is still pretty significant because I have some good relationships, but it pales in comparison to the number of Stanford guys I keep in touch with because I was a big part of their growth. I was a big part of their maturity. I was a big part of really tough, difficult lessons and some that I had to deliver personally and not in the nicest fashion. But 2, 5, 10, 15 years later, guys looking back and saying, wow, Coach, you were a big part of my life, and thank you. And they know when I keep in touch with them, I don't want anything from them. We have a genuine relationship. I'm not asking them to do anything for me. It was just, there's mom and dad and uncle, and I'm somewhere down below that group. But me and my staff played an important part in their growth and maturity. And that you can't put a price tag on. That most people, only people that really, really understand that are teachers. The teachers, when, like my sister, you're teaching 2nd, 3rd grade, and a college graduate comes back and say, man, you were my favorite teacher, you really influenced me. Like, that feeling is real, and it is a driving force to do what we do.
So I'm going to clip that answer off, by the way, and so whenever I get people emailing me saying, we're worried that David's going to leave for the NFL, I'm just going to send them that clip and just not respond and just send that to him. That was a beautiful answer. What do you enjoy most about being part of the Stanford community?
So we lost Bob Simone this past year, who was the chair of the biology department for so long and hosted our breakfasts that we would have with the professors, with our recruits. And Bob would always tell a story about how they tried to encapsulate what Stanford meant in one word. And they went through this whole long process, and people would send in this, and the word that they found was audacity. That Stanford has the audacity to try to be great in everything that they do. And that's what I love about being here, because no matter who I bump into on campus, they're trying to be the best at whatever they're doing. We're trying to have the best biology department and psychology department and basketball team and football team and tennis team. Everyone on campus is pushing for excellence. And when as I mentioned earlier, sometimes our people don't really understand it until they go someplace else. But when you're in this environment every day for an extended period of time and you go someplace else, first of all, you realize that this environment changes you. It raises your standards. It raises your standards of what you do, how you do it, and who you surround yourself with. I've had so many student athletes reach back out to me and say, Coach, I need some advice because I'm working with a group of people and they're really good, but I'm not used to working with unmotivated people. Like, how do I help this group? And I say, that's why you went to Stanford, because you just found out that you're the leader of that group. Now you see that you want to take these people that are here and bring them to here. And that's what Stanford does for you individually, but also for whoever you work with and whatever you do beyond Stanford. So to be in that environment and to watch our young people come in and then leave and have it, as we always say, be a truly launching pad for the rest of their lives and whatever they do, it's just great to be around that every day.
And I'm sure everyone watching that resonates exactly with them as well. All right, we just have a couple more, and these are from some kids. So these are your youngest fans, but the toughest questions.
All right.
What should I start to do now so that I can play for you someday?
So what you should do now, a couple things. Number one, don't just do well in school, enjoy school, enjoy learning, enjoy the things embrace the things that are difficult and conquer them. Play multiple sports. Don't just play football, play other sports, be well-rounded. Because not just me, but that's what Stanford's looking for. Stanford's looking for people that are going to bring something to the university. Don't just bring us your grades and your athletic prowess. Bring us your mind, your experiences, so that when you're in those discussions in your class, that you're not only listening to what other people have to say, you're bringing something of yourself in there too. So that's the advice that I would give.
Great advice. All right, who's the fastest guy on your team, and who's the strongest guy on your team?
Oh, gosh, the fastest and the strongest. Well,
We won't tell them.
First of all, I'm neither. But we've got some big boys on our team. We have multiple guys that are over 310 pounds, that are bench pressing over 400 pounds and squatting over 500 pounds. So that's a tough one to say, but we've got a group of offensive linemen that are pretty beefy. And then speed-wise, gosh, we've got a group of about 5 or 6 guys that are receivers, defensive backs, and running backs in particular that can run with anybody in America. And hopefully that shows up this year.
All right, that's good. That was a good politically correct answer. There's encapsulated
I don't want to get in trouble
That's
with my
smart.
players.
Yeah, very smart. All right, final thing, your thoughts about today's game against the Colorado Buffaloes?
So what we've learned throughout this entire thing is to continue to focus on ourselves. What can we do better? What can we do? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? And then matching that against our opponents. So the big thing for us is to really focus on us to make sure that we, on the offensive side, are not only efficient, but we don't turn the ball over, because this defense has been great for years, and they have their defense coordinator back from last year, and they did some really great things, and really difficult things to handle. We have to protect the quarterback. They've sacked the quarterback a bunch and a bunch of turnovers. On the defensive side, thankfully they don't have that receiver they had last year that was just unbelievable, but they have a variety of talent in a bunch of different places. So there's not one guy to focus on anymore, but there are a bunch of guys. So that's going to be our focus, is to make sure we're focusing on ourselves, but then also realizing what our opponent's strengths are and make sure that we battle those.
Well, we're wishing you nothing but the best of luck. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. I hope to tailgate with you again soon, maybe once you retire sometime
way
in
down
the
the
future,
road.
way down the road. But thank you, Coach, and good luck today.
Thank you.
It's always great to get charged up with the incomparable Stanford Band. But before we go to the final segment and provide you with how you can view today's game between Stanford and Colorado, I just wanted to remind you that you will receive a survey about today's event. Please let us know how you liked it and how we can best help you stay connected to the Stanford community in the future. The survey will also include exclusive links from the Pac-12 to view some of Stanford's past year's games. Thanks again for joining us. We hope next year we will be back on the farm. But until then, go Stanford!